This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here with Ivan Sutherland, who's joining us all the way from Dog Point. How are you?
Good, Jamie. Good.
Now, for those people unfamiliar with Dog Point, can you tell us a little bit about the history of the winery and the kind of wines that you make?
Well, Dog Point probably goes back to the early private planting days of Marlborough, New Zealand. And if we think of Marlborough, 1973, the first commercial plantings, private plantings in 78, 79, and that's when Dog Point Vineyard was planted in 79. It's interesting now, probably at the end of this year, there'll be close to 67,000 acres in Marlborough, which is quite astounding, and, you know, in a little over 40 years. And but for Dog Point, the vineyards were always there, and I was working with Clay Bay for many years from the beginning. Had 18 years there. Always wanted to make our own wine, and so Dog Point, the label, came along and in its first release in 04 with 2002 wines, where we made 3-barrel wines, alternative style of Sauvignon, if you like, alternative expression out of Marlborough from the more generic style. That was released in February of 04, the 02, those 3 wines, and then we followed it up with the tank fermented Sauvignon at the end of 2004. And I guess, you know, for us, our philosophy, our style is about making regionally distinctive wines that have a point of difference. And I guess for us, it's all our own estate. So it's quite low cropping, and it's all hand harvest. And I guess the reason we hand harvest is not because we're against machine harvesting. There's some great wines that come out of the area under machine harvesting, and 98% of the valley for Sauvignon would be machine harvested. Yeah. It's about, we wanted to add a different dimension to the wine, an element of finesse and delicacy and retained freshness for ageability. And we always wanted to make wines that would age very respectfully. And we've done a decade of Dog Point tastings, you know, back 10 years, and the wines have fronted up very, very well.
Now, when you say an alternative style of Sauvignon Blanc, what makes it alternative?
Well, if we say, you know, if we look at the generic style that's out of the valley, it's tank fermented, obviously to capture the freshness of the grape. And we 80% for us is introduced yeast, is inoculated. 20% is natural ferment in tank, and just to give it a layer, sort of a little more palate weight would probably be the best way. Section 94 is a wine that's viticulturally is the same. It's a single block within the main vineyard, but it's fermented and aged in old barrels, and it's wild ferment, no introduced yeast. So for us, no malolactic. The emphasis is imparting a yeast influence into the wine to give it texture and complexity. And more, you know, if you look at the tank fermented, that's more probably lifted aromatics, and hopefully people see it as nice balanced acidity, because it's a diurnal sort of temperatures that we work with leading to harvest. It's cool climate, so we get this nice fluctuation in temperatures from day and night, which are quite huge, and that gives you that retention of acidity and also that concentration of fruit flavours.
The majority of your production is Sauvignon Blanc, but you also have some other varietals.
Yes, we work. We love making Chardonnay. As we all know, Chardonnay is made all around the world. It's more of a winemaker's influence. For us, it's and with the Sauvignons, we're on silty clay soil, so it's more of that citrus sort of grapefruit fruit spectrum. A little, you know, from the clay, that minerality, sort of whetstone sort of character coming through. The Chardonnay, again, 100% natural ferment in barrel for 18 months, of which 15% is new. It's 100% malolactic. Some nice timely lees stirring over its evolutionary time in barrel, the 18 months in barrel. And we don't find the whites. We carefully take them out with gas, and they get a mild filtration.
And you make some Pinot Noir as well.
Yeah, well, yellow Pinot is really for the Marlborough, the bottom of the North Island, and then the other Pinot regions of New Zealand, Marlborough, Nelson, south of us, Waipara, and further south again, Central Otago. That's the red wine grape. It's Pinot Noir, and there's some outstanding wines coming out of all those regions. And it's about the right soil type, the right clonal diversity, and now we're seeing some nice age of vines, and we've seen the structure of tannins, the development over the years improve. And for us, it's just low cropping, as you have to do if you want to make a very good top quality Pinot Noir. It's all one bunch per shoot, quite low cropping, 4.5, 5 tonne per hectare, down to the chiller overnight, down to about 10 degrees. All the fruit goes over sorting table, and depending on the vintage, 15 to 20% is whole bunch, and it's not too long on skins, 14 to 21 days. It can finish, it's again depending on the vintage, it's primary ferment off in barrel. So it's in barrel for 18 months, of which 35% is new. And we don't filter. Carefully taking out the wine out of barrel is the secret, without taking any solids with you, and then carefully leaving it and transferring from tank, racking from tank.
And what would you say typifies a Marlborough Pinot Noir?
More in that red fruit. We're probably more aligned if there was another region to compare us with say Marlborough. We're more in that sort of lifted, cherry plum character, and the reason we're, a lot of wineries is 12 months in barrel, and then a quick sort of wash and new season's juice come in. For us, 18 months, 2 barrel programs obviously needed, but we're looking for secondary development in the wine, which doesn't sort of come through till 3 or 4 years.
Yes, yeah.
And it's developed some of those nice sort of forest floor, earthy sort of mushroomy type characters.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. We really appreciate your time, and look forward to catching up with you again in the near future.
Pleasure, Jeremy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.